it's just going to make your life miserable. A very similar sort of build to the Shake Dry jacket, which is now discontinued. They've got a really nice soft spongy base. It makes a massive difference and it shortcuts the time that it takes to improve. It's a complete game changer. Honestly, it's been one of the best investments I've made heart rate wise. Just stay controlled, purposeful. That's what I'm looking for, not necessarily like the marginal kind of all within session gains. It's an easy way to track the best smartwatch or run watch at the moment. But yeah, remember, look, these aren't necessarily just investments in the gear, they're investments in something that I feel as though I bang on to both my coach clients but also the squad members here in the NTPCW is worthy investments and what you should invest your money in order to do your job, i.e. training, or if it's not your job, to do the training that you want to be doing to achieve your goals. Because at the end of the day, if you can't or don't want to do the training, then you're less consistent, you're not doing the training that you want or need to be doing, and therefore you're not going to achieve your goals or at least get as close to your goals as you want to. Before I do get started, please do hit subscribe, hit that thumbs up icon and the bell icon so that you get reminded of the next video that will be out, so you don't miss out on any of the tips and tricks that hopefully I can shed some light on. Right, let's get started with the foundation of your winter training gear, clothing. So if you don't have the right clothing, then you're not going to want to get out of the door because you're going to be cold or wet or one or the other, and it's just going to make your life miserable. And I've been there so many times, so I can't recommend enough getting some good winter clothing, whether it be for the bike or run. I can highly recommend a good rain jacket. Castelli do a great one for cycling at the moment, which is kind of like a very similar sort of build to the Shake Dry jacket, which is now discontinued. But in running, yeah, similar sort of thing, like any good running jacket will be more than sufficient, but it just helps you keep the rain out of the, or off of the body and tries to keep you as warm as possible. On that note, a good thermal base layer is also really important. If you can get something that's maybe merino wool that wicks away the sweat, it will make your life so much better. Believe me, I've been there so many times where shivering through a run or a ride is just absolute hell. On that note, good gloves and extremities cover, so for maybe some good thermal socks or boots for running or cycling will make a massive difference too. Speaking of which, a good pair of shoes will make a massive difference. For cycling, I would highly recommend a good pair of boots, maybe Gore-Tex boots or Sub-Zero boots. I've got a pair of City boots, which make a massive difference. And I also put some overshoes on there as well, just to keep the water out as much as possible. There are things like spats, which I would highly recommend. They do keep your feet really warm if you don't have a pair of boots, and as much water as you can out of them as well, because it's really hard to keep water out. It just seems to get absolutely everywhere, and if that's the case and it's cold, your feet are just going to be an absolute state by the end of the ride. Trainer-wise, I would go for something like with decent grip and maybe some all-weather protection, whether it be Gore-Tex or I think Nike do a shield thing, but also, yeah, good grip. Not necessarily trail shoes, but a nice wide platform which you're able to be stable with and not slip around too much. I'm currently using the Bondi 8s from Hoka. They've got a really nice soft spongy base, and it really helps me get back into training with higher volume, but also it's got a decent amount of grip on the bottom so that all the leaves, and if there's snow or ice or anything later in winter, I'm pretty confident it will give me a nice solid base to work from and not slip and injure myself. I mean, I can't recommend a coach enough. It's a little bit self-fulfilling because I would recommend working with Entire, but at the same time, it's the best way to shortcut your winter training. Like, it is a good investment. I can't recommend it enough. Obviously, I work with a coach myself, but I've seen the benefits of having a coach for all of my coach clients as well. It makes a massive difference and it shortcuts the time that it takes to improve and helps you get there, one, the fastest way possible, but also the most convenient and easiest way possible. So yeah, if you can invest in a coach and you have the money to do that, I would highly recommend it. We are running an offer at the moment. It's the only offer that we will run throughout this year. It's 50% off your first 2 months of training. So yeah, do check out the website, drop me a message or whatever. But yeah, just consider it. Now, speaking of working outside or battling the elements, on the flip of that is an indoor trainer for the bike. And I honestly cannot recommend it enough. Like, I do the majority of my cycling, or at least 50% of my cycling throughout the year, on an indoor trainer. And that's because, one, it's a controlled condition, and two, it reduces the decision that I have to make throughout the week on whether or not I'm going to be riding outside, especially for sessions. Like, I always ride my harder sessions on the indoor turbo. It just makes life so much easier. I don't have to worry about the traffic. I don't have to worry about spending longer than I want to outside. And I don't have to worry about like the controlled conditions. Like, I know what I'm going to be getting. It's nice and controlled on erg mode. And yeah, it just makes my life 10 times easier, especially when the weather's a bit suspect outside. It's a complete game changer. Tech-wise, I would highly recommend a good heart rate monitor. And at the moment, I'm using the Garmin Heart Rate Pro Plus, I think it is. And honestly, it's been one of the best investments I've made heart rate wise, because all of the other ones either are uncomfortable or like conk out after 6 to 8 months. I've not found one until now that's outlasted the 6-month period, just because of either battery or sweat or being uncomfortable. And this one seems to be the best of those three. So I would highly recommend the Garmin Heart Rate Pro Plus. I don't use half of the metric or any of the metrics really other than heart rate. So whilst I'm not using it to its full capabilities, I think that it's still worth the investment because it's not cut out on me and I haven't had to get another one on warranty, or I've not had to pay for another one. That being said, the Polar OH1 Plus is equally as long lasting. It's like an armband or one that you wear on your goggles. And I've had that for a good 3 years now, and it's still going. So whilst it's not as necessarily accurate like in real time in comparison to a chest strap, it's still accurate and it's still been lasting a long time, so I would highly recommend that as well. Okay, a good smartwatch and a good bike computer are two other things that I would highly recommend, so that you can, one, track your progress and monitor kind of where you're at and your goals, stay motivated on each of those runs, but also just within those runs and cycles, just making sure that you're either keeping a cap on it or being able to like monitor your progress within that, and just stay controlled, purposeful and intentful throughout each of those exercises. I watch my Garmin or sports watch all the time just to make sure that I'm in the right zone, I'm doing what I want to do, tracking that kind of like day-to-day progress or day-to-day accumulation of volume. It keeps me motivated. Like, as I see the hours racking up throughout the week or the months, that's what I'm looking for. Not necessarily like the marginal kind of or within session gains. It's more like the weekly, monthly totals. So yeah, it's an easy way to track. It automatically uploads the training peaks so that my coach can look at it, I can look at it, I can review it. And yeah, it just makes life 10 times easier. Personally, I found the Apple Watch Ultra to be the best smartwatch or run watch at the moment. And that's a combination between being able to listen to music on easy aerobic runs, being able to make calls if I want to, whether they be to clients, whether they be to my parents or Emily, but then also tracking very, very well. It's better than the normal Apple Watch because it's got the lap button. And yeah, it's just very, very accurate. I've not had any issues with it personally. I know that some people have done, but yeah, the updates are being class every time. I love the track feature that it has, so that every time I hit the track, it does sync up and it makes sure that it's very accurate. Not that I'm on the track very often, but when I do, it does sync up. Then bike computer wise, I've been using both the Stages bike computer, which is great, and the Garmin, I think it's 580, the standard one. But yeah, both have been phenomenal and just really, really accurate, relatively quick to upload GPS and things like that, but also connect to Wi-Fi when I'm home and automatically upload to my training peak. So I don't really have to think about any of it in that respect. Like my Strava, I don't ever upload actively to Strava, it just automatically goes up and then I can just review it at a later date. But yeah, all in all, I'd say that they're definitely worthy investments, things that I've come to terms with in terms of investing. Like I've tried a few different bits and pieces out over the years, and these are what I've settled on at the moment, and I really, really rate them very highly. I've used them all for quite a long period of time now, and yeah, I just think that they're things that are solid, robust, and work very, very well. But yeah, remember, look, these aren't necessarily just investments in the gear, they're investments in yourself. At the end of the day, you want to achieve your goals, right? So it's a case of achieving those goals as easy as possible. If you did find this video helpful, do hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and maybe even the bell icon to let you know when my next video is up. And don't forget to share your training stories in the comments below. Thanks for watching. If you do want to share any of your other tech or kind of advice or investment advice in the comments below, please do. I always read through them and I always try and respond as much as I can. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.